We are going to be identifying different parts of an expression. But before we identify different parts of an expression, I want you to think in your mind, what does the word expression mean? What is another word for expression that starts with a P? Touch your nose if you know what that word is. And it is not parentheses and it is not PEMDAS. What is it? Problem. Good. So today we're going to be identifying different parts of the problem. Whoever is clipping their pencil boxes, stop. That's all I can hear, and it's so obnoxious. So stop. Okay. So we're going to be identifying different parts of our expressions, different parts of our problem. So I have a problem up here. It is 2f plus 8 divided by t. Okay. But before we start identifying different parts of this problem, I want to ask you a couple of questions. I have a variable. I have two variables up here. Think in your mind, what's a variable again? Do we see any variables up here? Thumbs up if you see a variable in this expression. Takari sees it. I need some help. What is a variable? Because I'm going to talk about a variable, and if you don't know what a variable is, you're going to have a really hard time. What is a variable? And you are so confident you know what a variable is. I have two variables up here. What's a variable, Tefili?
Variable is when it stays the same.
Nope, not when it stays the
When
same.
it changes.
Nope, nothing's changing. What's a variable, friends? Check your math journal if you need it. Lacey, what's a variable?
A letter symbol that people
It's a letter. Do we see letters up here?
Yes.
Yeah, do we see some letters up here? Tell your neighbor what letters we see.
F, A, T.
Okay, F and T. So we have two variables up here, okay? So when we are talking about this, I want to tell you about one more thing that involves variables that you need to know about. Okay, so do you see this right here, how it's written as 2F? Okay, so in algebra, which is what we're working on, okay, in our assignment before, you guys would sometimes write 2 times F, okay, 2 times F. Well, actually, 2 times F is really 2F in algebra, okay? So when you guys read this, let me zoom out a little bit. So I want you guys, when you see 2F, it's really 2 times F. That's what we're saying. We're taking the variable F and we're multiplying it times 2. But in algebra, instead of writing 2 times F, we write it as 2F. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're going to write ourselves a little note. All right? So we are going to write to ourselves, Dear self. When a variable, what's the variable again? It's a letter, okay? Letter or a symbol. When a variable is by itself, we multiply it by 1. Addison, can you see the letters on there, or can you just see the screen and it's really hard to read?
I can see them.
You can see them? Okay. All right. So in our note to us, it's Dear self, when a variable, or a letter in this case, is multiplied by itself, we multiply it by 1. So that means that in this problem right here, so it's 2F plus 8 divided by T. Do you see how T is all by itself? Really what it's saying is T equals 1 times T. Okay? So you're going to need to remember these things in order to be successful on today's assignment. Okay? So I want to go back to our original equation. I need your math journal to match my math journal. I'm ready to start teaching again in 15 seconds. So anything that you may need to write down, please write down. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to look at this expression, and we're going to identify the terms, the coefficients, and then we are going to write it with words. All right? it's not hard. It's not hard. As long as you are referencing your math journal and paying attention, okay? So the first word that we have up here is a term. I need you guys to look in your math journal at the word term and tell your partner what the word term means. Go ahead and go right there. Okay, I need all eyes up here in 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, so a term, I want to make sure I read it right. So it's the part of the expression that are separated by addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division signs. So if you guys look at our expression right here, so I have 2f plus 8 divided by t. Show me on your fingers how many different operation signs do you see? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. How many do we see up here in this expression? Show me on your fingers. How many? Leo, I just asked a question. How many? Show me on your fingers. There we go. 2. Yeah, 2. So I have an addition sign and a division sign, right? So a term is everything that is separated by it. So if you guys, you're going to count with me. How many terms do we have? There's 1, 2. Why aren't you counting with me? 2. And everyone, 3. Oh my gosh, we have 3 terms. Okay. So a term is everything that is separated by an operation sign. So in this case, I have 3 terms. It is 2f, and 2f, like it stays together, okay? 2f, and then 8, and then t. We're going to separate them with commas. We're not just going to copy the sign. We're not just going to copy the expression. I apologize. We're not just going to copy the expression down. We're actually going to identify the terms, okay? So here I have 3 terms, 2f, 8, and t, okay? So now it's time to look for coefficients. Tell your partner what a coefficient is. Look in your math journal. What's a coefficient? Okay, I need all eyes up here in 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, so a coefficient, and this is brand new information to you, friends, so I expect you all with me still. Okay, so a coefficient, it is the number that is multiplied by a variable. Show me on your fingers, how many variables do I have up here? Variables, not terms. How many variables? 2. I have 2, right? Tell me my first variable that I have up here. Everyone tell me. And then the last one? T. Good. So I have f and t. So a coefficient, it is the number that is hanging out with the variable. What number is hanging out with f? 2. 2. Good. So that's my first coefficient. And then who's hanging out with t? Nobody, right? So some students are like, oh, it's 8, but 8 and t are separated by a division sign, so it's not 8. So right now t is all by t's lonesome, but we took notes earlier. What happens when we see a variable hanging out by themselves? What number is it? 1. 1. So in this case, since t is all by t self, it's 1. Okay? And then finally, it is time for us to write it in words. And I know that this is the hardest part for 6th graders. I want you to write what you see. Okay? Just write what you see in the order that you see it. So to start off with, I have 2 and f. What's happening to them? Am I adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing the 2 and f?
Multiply.
I'm multiplying. The 2 and the f, they're going to be multiplied together. And so how do we say multiplication again? The what? Not times, well, it is times, but there's a fancier way to say it. Look in your math journal. From 7 to 3. Oh, the product. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to write it. The product of, what's my product of, friends?
2 and f.
2 and f, yep. My product of 2 and f. And then what am I going to do to 2 and f? So I took care of 2 and f. What am I going to do next?
You're adding.
I'm going to add, so the product of 2 and f plus, what am I going to plus it with?
8.
Plus 8. And then what am I going to do afterwards?
Divided by t.
Divided by what?
T.
Good. Divided by. That's it. That's what we're doing today. Don't make it harder than it is. You are going to identify terms, coefficients, and then write it out in words. Students have the hardest time writing it out in words. It doesn't necessarily have be in this exact order or this exact phrasing, but you do need to be able to write it out in words. Dakari.
So we're doing problem or that?
This, you're going to identify terms, coefficients, and write it out in words. Okay, so here's the second one. Go ahead and write it down with me. Our expression is 5m plus 2h. Okay, so we're going to identify the terms, the coefficients, and then write it out in words. Okay, so show me on your fingers, how many terms do I have up here? Show me on your fingers, how many terms do I have up here? 10, 13, that was with my feet too. Good, 2, yeah, I have 2. Tell your partner what my 2 terms are.
5 and 2h.
Hey, I need someone who for reals knows what one of my terms is. Like, you are so confident that this is a term. What is one of my terms, Serena?
5m and 2h.
Oh, I asked for 1. 5m. Good. 5m. And I loved it when Serena said 5m. She said it together. We're not leaving out m. They're not separated. It's 5m. And then everybody tell me what my second one is.
2h.
2h. Perfect. Okay. So now I want to know what my coefficients are. Who are the numbers hanging out with my variables? Go ahead and tell your partner what my coefficients are. Hey, show me on your fingers, one on each hand, what are my 2 coefficients? One of them is 5, and the other one is what, everyone? 2. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, and so I'm going to give you 1 minute. With your partner, I want you to write out what you see the way that you see it. And let's see if we come up with something similar. And if we don't, it's okay. So you guys have actually, yeah, you have 30 seconds. Go ahead and do that with your partner. Okay.
It's the sum of W is 5 and sum of
This one because you have 5. That says plus.
The product of 0.
No, it says plus, not times.
The product of 5 and 6. Oh, sorry, 2.
Yeah, it's because it was
Product
times.
of 5 is 2 plus. No.
Oh, it's plus. Oh, seriously, we do put the product.
Yeah. 2 and 5 and so the product of what? 5 and m. Oh wait.
Okay, I need all eyes up here in 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, so it is the same expression. There we go. It's the same expression, and this is what I came up with. And just because I came up with it, it doesn't mean that the one you came up with is wrong. There are 2 that I came up with. Okay, so I have the sum of 5 times m and 2 times n. And I also have the product of s and, the product of 5, I apologize. The product of 5 and m plus the product of 2 and h. Either of them are acceptable. Raise your hand if you had something similar to these. Raise your hand if you have something different. That's totally fine, as long as you are describing the expression. For this example, I need you guys to have 2 examples. So go ahead, and if you need to borrow one of mine or both of mine, write them down. I want you guys to have 2 examples, so you know that there are multiple ways that you can write this. Okay? So today, that is what we're going to be doing all day, friends. We're going to be identifying terms, the coefficients, and then writing it out in word form. Once your math journal matches my math journal, I need it open on the corner of your desk, and then plug your way.